Hello, welcome to How to D&D. Yes, a bit of a surprise today. I was supposed to be talking about a particular monster, but I simply did not get time to complete the work on that. It's been crazy leading up to Christmas, and I'm actually sick today. So if I seem like I want to rush through this, it could well be the reason of what's going on here. As soon as I do this, I am going to be going to bed. But anyway, we are still going to do something. How's it going, Nacho Man? Hello. Nacho Man is a patron, supports me on Patreon. The best way to ensure this live stream continues, where we build adventures and I talk about adventures, is on Patreon. I'm going to put up this poll. I already know what most people's answer will be, because that's just the nature of things. And so I'm going to just pull out my earplugs. We're all good. We're going to check my webcam on my head. And if that's all working fine, we should be ready to smash on through. And I believe there. So my advice to you right now is to grab yourself some food, some drink. Make sure you are comfortable. No, I did not test positive for that particular thing. I did check. So my suggestion to you is get some food, some drink. Get comfortable. You may need some dice with you. I don't know. I think if anything, you're just going to need your brain and just get it firing, because we're going to do quite a lot. Now, you may have seen me put up a page with a map on it. I've done that quite deliberately. This is actually taken from a book that I use all the time, which I think is excellent. I know a lot of people don't like the book for a variety of different reasons, which I don't think are legitimate, but that's beside the point. So yes, be ready. We are going to fire in. I'm going to get started. I will be doing a slideshow presentation. It's the same one I normally do. And then we'll go into Q&A, and then we're going to build an adventure together in the time we have left. This will take me roughly about 2 hours. The presentation's much shorter. So you won't have to sit through too much before we get into the business of doing some D&D Dungeon Master stuff. So don't worry too much about that. Right. Okay, let's see if I can find everything in the right place. I think it is. Yeah, there we go. I'm ready to go. Hi, welcome to How to D&D. My name is Fred Weller, and today I want to talk about roleplay games, Dungeons and Dragons, anything. I don't care. It's got to be something. It's got to be, is it dwarves? Is it mines? No, it's actually Dungeon Master preparation. This is a work day. This is lesson 1, adventure building. Yes, I'm going to talk about how to build your own adventures, because if you're not doing that, you will eventually be doing it. You can't always be using somebody else's stuff, and even if you think you can only use somebody else's stuff, is it actually going to be less work to use somebody else's stuff? Anyway, the overview for today. I'm going to talk about the types of adventures that there are that you can use and create. I'm going to talk about the types of quests you can give to your player characters. I'm also going to discuss basic adventure building, what it looks like, and I'm going to give you some miscellaneous recommendations. It looks pretty short and easy and sweet here. It might be. I'm going to explain everything in terms of the process of building an adventure. I'm going to demonstrate the process, and I want you to participate. I want you to be part of the process, because this is all about getting you to actually do your own thing. Now, if you go to D&D Beyond, you'll find that they have a combat encounter builder for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. Nothing really related to adventure building as such. It is free, but it's one aspect of the process of building your adventure. You're not always going to be building combat encounters, but I thought I'd point you in that direction anyway. Let's talk about the first thing, and that is the types of adventures that there are. The pros and cons as well. So in terms of the types of adventures, we have the sandbox or hex crawl adventure. This is where the characters start in a set location, but can venture out to any new location they would like to explore. So they can essentially go north, south, east, west, or anything in between. So you have no control as a dungeon master as to where they go necessarily. They could just go anywhere. Then you have your linear adventure. This is where the characters start at a beginning or a set location. But there is some sort of beginning. It might not be a location. It may be just an event that takes place. And they follow a set path to a climax in the story, and it has a very strong plot line. In other words, there are different things that they have to get to along that route. And then the third one which may have been overlooked. It is probably used by many people and they haven't realized. This is the point crawl adventure. It is built with meaningful locations connected by multiple in-world pathways. So although you might start with one location or one point, you are going to diverge. You may have 2 different paths or 3 different paths that diverge to different locations, and from those locations they will have branches coming off them. It's like a branching tree. You'll find that there is also another type, and that is the combination of all 3 basic types. That's a combination of sandbox, linear, and the point crawl. Now that we've done that, let's talk a little bit about location and event-based adventures. So a location-based adventure, they don't have a set plot. They don't have a set event. There aren't necessarily going to be events that take place. There can, but usually the plot and the events that take place are secondary. This is where a place where a villain or a potential conflict is there to interact with. And who's going to interact with it? Your player characters. So with a location-based adventure, it's not the adventure that writes the story. It's not the dungeon master who sets out the story. It's the players who create the story by interacting with their environment and whatever potential conflict or threat is in that location. And that's it. It's fairly simple. It's probably the easiest to present to a general audience and not have too many problems. Next one is the event-based adventure. Often set out like a flow chart, or it may have just a few different optional branches from a starting point, or it can in fact be event-based adventures can often look a little bit like a linear progression, where you just go from one point A to point B to point C to point D. Okay, in other words, you're talking about a single track. There isn't different pathways. You just move from one thing to the next. Now, Wizards of the Coast does a lot of this sometimes. They will create a linear adventure, and you can get off at each train station stop, and then there's a little bit of a sandbox that you can explore, and then you get back on the train and move back along there. And then, of course, there are adventures that use a combination of all of these. Nothing is actually wrong with any of these styles. They work better for some people than others, but also, too, they have different purposes and are useful in different ways. Right, let's deal with the types of adventures that you can use in your adventure creation. Types of quests. What are the quests we're going to look at? Right, well, first off, we have the fetch quest. This is where the characters have to get something from another location that is potentially a long distance away. And a good example of that is Avengers Endgame, where the heroes, our Marvel heroes, have to get all the Infinity Stones in one place and then put them into a gauntlet. So you have to go and fetch a whole lot of little stones, magical stones. So that's the best example I could think of. The delivery quest, this is when the characters are in possession of an object, a person, or a piece of information, and they must deliver that to a specific location. And usually what we're dealing with there is you are like the postman. You've got your package, whether, like I said, whether it's an object, a person, or a piece of information, you're delivering it to a set place. A good example is the Lord of the Rings. Like, the Lord of the Rings is the best example. This is where you take the one ring, the all-powerful ring, and we have to go and deliver it to Mount Doom and throw it in. And then once it's done, it's done. It should be over. That quest is complete. The next one, our protection quests. Have the characters escorting a person safely to a secondary location potentially, or just taking them to protecting them in a set location. They may not actually move with them. They may have to just stay put. The best examples that I can think of in terms of protection quests, and protection quests can also involve protecting not just people but also objects. But a good example is the Seven Samurai. And for those of you who don't know what the Seven Samurai is, I will mention the old Western, The Magnificent Seven, or the newer version, The Magnificent Seven. And this is where we have 7 gunfighters, or if we're dealing with the seven samurai, and they have to protect the townsfolk or village from the evil bandits and baron that are trying to wreck their life. And so their job is all about protection. Another example is Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. And in that movie, Doctor Strange has to protect a young girl from being captured by Scarlet Witch and potentially sucked dry and killed. So that's the basics in terms of your protection quests. The next one, very common, and that is the destroy quest. So when we have to destroy something or kill something, the destroy and kill quest, very common, requires the characters to go on a monster hunt or vanquish a main villain or break or destroy an object. The best example of this is Star Wars, because Star Wars is all about destroying and killing. And so the first example I'll give you is like the multitude of Death Stars. Like our heroes have to stop the Death Star from destroying Alderaan, or the Rebel base that's on a moon, or various planets around the galaxy or universe. So that's a good example. Or maybe it is we have to go and we have to kill Darth Vader or the evil Emperor. So that's Star Wars. Destroy and kill. Next we have investigation quests. This gets the characters to find new information or to investigate some sort of mystery. Okay, so we're going to be doing some sort of investigation. We need to collect new information. We're going to either be solving a problem or solving a crime. And usually the best example I can think of is Sherlock Holmes. Whether it be the books, the TV series, or the movies, Sherlock Holmes is called upon to investigate a crime or a murder. He is presented with the facts. He then searches for new information and new clues, and then from those clues he makes a deduction and solves the crime. And that is your investigation quest. Next is the negotiation quest. This requires the characters to deceive or persuade someone. That involves some sort of democracy or diplomacy or intrigue or even perhaps trade. So negotiation should be fairly self-evident what it is. Now the best examples of this, I would say, is the Avatar movie. This is the James Cameron one, where they have to try and negotiate with the natives and see if we can come to a mutual agreement between the humans and the natives. And of course it doesn't go well, but there's certainly some sort of attempt to do some sort of negotiation, although it's pretty one-sided. A better example of this is Star Trek. Whether it be the TV series or the movies, I think the original TV series is probably a better example of this. And this is where you might be journeying from one place to another, and James T. Kirk and his crew will be constantly talking and negotiating with different alien species and coming to an agreement, whether that's to release his ship or help them out in some way or deal with a misunderstanding. There could be all sorts of different things going on. The survival quest. Okay, this is where we force the characters into a dangerous situation that they have to get out of. Or it could be a natural disaster they have to deal with. Or it could be an army on the warpath. Or it could be they are in a prison. This is all about the characters must survive, no matter what. Now, the best examples of this are the movies Alien and the Terminator franchise. So Alien, the first movie, this is all about where, Ripley and the crew have to actually try and survive the alien creature that is trying to kill everybody on board. And then, of course, Terminator is all, again, John Connor is part of the equation in the second movie, but it's actually Sarah Connor who has to try to survive to ensure the existence of the human race so that her son will actually grow up and be able to fight off Skynet. So the Terminator is obviously there to destroy Sarah Connor, and we would say, basically in this situation, would say our characters are trying to stop that from happening. Okay, the next one, number 8, attainment quests. You have the characters seeking a treasure, like an object, quite common. The object as a treasure is very, very common. It could be a person, but it could be other things, including political power, political positions, land, even a castle, or a location of some kind. Now, the best examples of an attainment quest is Moana and Finding Nemo. So Moana, the animated movie, this is where Moana has to go and find, with some help, a green stone so that the oceans and seas of the world don't all turn black and, of course, then kill everything on the land. So you go seek out that stone, and the stone has to be placed into a specific location. And then Finding Nemo is pretty obviously, it's an attainment. You're going to go and find Nemo. Nemo is a lost little fish, and that's our task here. So those are the different types of quests that you can run. So there's quite a few different types, isn't there? Now that I've covered that, I need a drink of water. So your basic adventure building. What does your basic adventure building look like? So what I've done is I have pulled this from my own a process, but this process is not original to me. It's actually used by a lot of different people, but I originally got this idea and used this strategy from Chris Perkins. And this is how he would differentiate the process of building an adventure. Now, this is an adventure for yourself at your table, not to be published, okay? This is how he writes up his own notes. This is how I write my notes. We start off with your adventure title, whatever that might be. You might not be doing that first. It might be easier to do that later on, or you need to have an adventure designation to differentiate the session notes from everything else. It might be designation of Adventure Notes 1 or Adventure Notes 2 or Session 1, Session 2. Or you might decide to call it, I'm going to call this the beginning adventure. I mean, whatever you want to do. Then we have our adventure hooks or our adventure goals. Now, if you are already in an adventure, you may not be using an adventure hook or adventure goal or giving them a quest. We might not have that aspect. Instead, you will have your adventure recap from whatever happened last time, and also as part of the recap is like there should be something in there, right, that says what they should be trying to do next. And you're going to use between 3 and 4 sentences to actually put together your adventure hook, goal, or your adventure recap. Adventure goals, you will find a few of them in the Dungeon Master Guide for Dungeons & Dragons 5e on page 72 to 81. And then we need a list of player characters, like your player characters. You want to have the names of your player characters so that you remember who they are playing and what's going on with them. I would stick to every player should have at least one sentence and probably no more. You're not going to be writing this down in long form, you write it down in short form. So you need to have the player character's name. You might even want to put the actual player's name beside the character name. You want to know what their class is, their race is, and you probably need to know what their flaw is, or at least their main goal. Now, their goal, if you've done this right, will be the same goal as everybody else, but they may also have individual goals if you have been able to do anything like that. So, always list your player characters. Okay, next, adventure locations. I would suggest about 5 in total is what you want. You're probably going to need a town or a city first, and you will probably want to have a location that is a tavern, particularly if you're going to start in a tavern. So a tavern name would be a good start. Now, what you're going to do with your locations is you need to have the name, a basic description of that location, and then that's it. You don't really need too much else. I mean, of course, there may be other stuff involved, but I'll get back to that. Now, dungeon locations or area locations, you'll find in the Dungeon Master Guide on page 99, 101, 113 through to 114, and 292 through to 301. You can also use pre-made maps. You could use historical history locations as inspiration, any of those. Anything that will shorten the workload, because a lot of things you don't really need to remake. Somebody else has already done it for you. This might also include, as part of your adventure creation, your adventure is only going to take up 1 page. The second page may in fact be the map, so that you can see where everything is, whether you draw it or you find one to use. Okay, a list of 5 non-player characters. Now, why have I said 5? Because 5 is a good number. It could be 4, it could be 6. It doesn't matter that much. I'm setting a hard limit because that's probably about all you really need. So you're going to develop your NPC names or non-player character names. You need to have a very brief appearance. So you need to know kind of what they look like, maybe some personality aspects, but most important, their motivation. The character name and the motivation are probably the most important aspects out of everything else. Now, what sort of NPCs or non-player characters do you need? Well, you'll probably need to have a villain. You may have a patron or a quest giver, but you don't necessarily have to have both. There may be a victim involved, but not always. You might have somebody who is going to act as a helper. At some point, they're going to get stuck and a helper will be able to step in. Or you might have a mentor. That mentor is basically they're a bit more like a helper, but they will perpetuate beyond this adventure. The mentor is going to be there for potentially the entire campaign. And then you have anything else that's left over is extra cast that you can put wherever you like, whenever you need to. Now, you won't necessarily be having every single one of these, but you'll find that as a general rule, you will always need a villain, a patron or quest giver, and that's probably about it. And the Dungeon Master always finds it useful to have a helper. So you may have 3 at the most. So you've got 2 spares for something else, whether that be a shopkeeper or something that you're going to use somewhere in the adventure. Now, I would recommend using the backgrounds in the Player's Handbook on page 127 to 141. This is a really good way for building out your NPCs. I'm not going to go over the process here because we do that in a different class. Creating non-player characters in the Dungeon Master Guide, it's on page 89 to 81. It's all right. It's not great. It's got some stuff there. And then, of course, if you need villain goals, then refer to the Dungeon Master Guide on page 94 to 95. Otherwise, try doing what Sly Flourish does, or Mike Shea. Use some Rory Story Cubes, roll 3 or 4 of these to develop the different aspects of your NPC. And if you haven't seen that done before, either check out his channel or you can check out my channel where I show you how to do this. Next, we need encounters. And when I say encounters, I do not mean combat encounters. They might be combat encounters, but they might not. We're gonna aim for 6. 6 should get us through one session. They're not going to be the random encounters, so we're not dealing with random encounters, whether that be random combat encounters or random non-combat encounters. We're not dealing with random encounters. That's easy enough to do. No, what we want are the things that we're probably going to have to use at some point. So whether they be combat encounters, social interactions, exploration, traps, puzzles, maybe a skill challenge, it can be a variety of different things. It's depending on what you want to do with your adventure. Now, traps are in the Dungeon Master Guide on page 120 to 123. It's not a very good guide, unfortunately, but it's a starting point. As for anything else that you were trying to do, the Dungeon Master Guide for 5e does not offer very much at all. You will probably have to find a different resource book for that. And lastly, we need to have rewards for the completion of the adventure. Now, our rewards will consist of character advancement or gaining levels in their character, magic items, potentially political power, other types of treasure or money, and then, of course, non-player character relationships. A stronger non-player character relationship is also a very good reward. And if you can think of something else, that's great. But those are the basics in terms of the kinds of rewards. And you need to have something to reward your players for the effort they put in. It doesn't always have to be money, and it doesn't always have to be magic items, although a lot of people do like those things. Right, so every time I do this, I always like to give out some miscellaneous recommendations. And my recommendations to you are, don't spend all your time on developing one concept of the adventure. Don't get stuck in one place. Move on fairly quickly, okay? If you get stuck, it means that your brain is not ready to put that down. Just keep moving. Stop sweating the creative ideas in your adventure. Don't worry about them, okay? You don't know what people will like. whoever's playing in your group, you have no idea until you run the adventure whether they will like it or dislike it. If they dislike it, oh well, I broke an egg, it didn't work out quite the way I was expecting, this omelette isn't so great. But sometimes it works out perfectly fine, and you may not be aware that it was going to work out perfectly fine. I've had this happen to me more than a few times where I thought the adventure was going to be really good, I thought they had a good time, and actually found that my perspective and their perspective was very different. And this is very common. The disconnect between Dungeon Master and players is quite significant until you start talking with them. When you start talking with them and they're actually answering your questions and they're doing so honestly and they feel comfortable to do so, then you'll get somewhere. And that is the advice I have for you on doing your own adventures, building them from scratch essentially, and how to do it without taking forever. Now, if you found this useful, fantastic. If you have any questions or any feedback you would like to give, that's what the comments section is all about. Please use that. And wherever you are in the world, all the best with your adventure building. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Just give me a second. I just need to write myself a little bit. Right, so I'm going to have an interesting day. I can see it now. I'm already fading. Okay. All right. Let's go over here. For those of you who don't know, you are going to help me build an adventure, okay? And there are some parameters for making that work in a reasonable way. So let's have a look at our poll first. Do you prefer event or location-based adventures? Right, so event, heavy plot, 24%. Interesting. I was actually expecting out of the poll for event-based or heavy plot-based to be the strongest one, although 47% said both event and location. So that kind of falls into where I was looking at. Location-based with one goal, 18% people like this. It's not very popular, and undecided is 12%. So I want to explain to you a little bit about what those numbers mean. So first off, when you're creating your own adventure, you can get away with having a heavy event-based adventure for your own group. Does that make sense? Do you know why? Because you're building on an existing structure. You're also building for your gaming group. So it will work for your gaming group, but whatever you build for your gaming group doesn't work for somebody else's gaming group. And and it's kind of showing the trend that I was expecting. So every time you build an event-based adventure and you publish it, the chances are it will fail. Do you know why it will fail? I'll explain to you why it will fail, why they are often the worst adventures, not because they can't work, but they can't work for a general audience. Because they can't write down enough branches. What would happen is if you have too many branches coming into your event-based adventure that you publish, and if Wizards of the Coast were to do this, and they have on a number of occasions, but really they wind up being a pretty much a straight line with maybe one or two branches and that's it, is they fail. And they fail because they don't allow player choice. Dungeon Masters have to do too much modification. Now, a location-based adventure, although most of you don't like those, are actually the better adventure to get as a pre-made adventure. Does that make sense? They're actually better as a pre-made adventure because on a location-based adventure, you can stack event-based concepts. And if the event-based concepts fall apart or get blown up into a great huge mess by the player characters, it doesn't matter because you still have the location-based adventure there as a structure. Now, location-based adventures mean that the players determine the events that take place rather than the Dungeon Master or the adventure that's been written. And that's actually a good thing. Do you know why that's a good thing? That's because it allows players to make choices. They can go in any direction and there will be something for you to do because it's already laid out. It's a location, a place. And those of you who have selected both event and location, you're probably already aware that there are times where a combination is necessary. Again, like I said, you can have a location and overlay the events in that location. And if the event stuff doesn't work, you still got to fall back on the location, or you can go from event to a location. So what does that mean here? That means today I am going to really say to you, we are building a location-based adventure. Why is that? Because I want those people who are going to use this adventure, and that will be going up onto Patreon. The best way to support me in this program is on Patreon. I'll be building in a location-based adventure, because building in a live stream an event-based adventure is a complete waste of your time and everybody else's. I hate to say it. It's only good for you and nobody else. So those of you who are here and don't like the sound of that, now's the time to leave. So I'm going to explain that process. I can see people jumping out now, okay? I'm not going to explain my rationale. If you don't agree with me, you don't agree with me, okay? But it's true. It's simply a fact. There's a reason why the first adventures were very location-based and they had 1 or 2 goals within the entire location. All right. So we're going to be doing that. But as I said, that gives you the best structure to work with, because you can do anything with it now. All right. Now, let's go through here and say hi to everybody in the chat. And then I have been asked to do something, and I will be doing it very briefly. And I believe I'm supposed to be talking very briefly about D&D Next, but we'll get to that in a second. Nacho Man, a lot of it going around the country. Yeah. I got hit. I don't know if it's what I didn't test positive, but I am unwell. How's it going, Overboard Miniature Gaming? Hi, Joe. Joe is a patron, also a moderator, and yeah, best way to support this is Patreon. But super chats and super stickers are always nice, but the best way is definitely Patreon, because you get everything. Everything goes there. How's it going, Avenging Blowfish? Be careful what you ask for. Hello, Matt Walker. How are you? Bruno Roberto. Is it Roberto? I think it is Roberto. Bruno, how are you doing? Hello. And then we've got Monty Python's Holy Grail. Yeah. Hello, Michael. How are you doing? Hello, James. Blessings to all. Yes, wishing everyone a great evening. Well, for me, it's the afternoon. It's getting quite hot here. Hopefully it won't get too hot. All right. Dungeons and Chronics is here. Hello, how are you doing? Spirit Wolf is here. God, everybody, the gang is here. Hello, how are you doing? And Fender, also a patron and a moderator. Thank you for coming. Okay, everybody's saying hi to each other while I am scrolling down. Hopefully I'll get to the bottom of this fairly quickly. Let's put all the characters in jail for Christmas. Okay, so one of the things I will say, Nacho Man, one of the worst ways to start an adventure, even if you think it's a good way for as a dungeon master, is players hate being put into prison. Although it's there and it's an option, and I did mention it, they hate it. They hate it. Do you know why? It's hard to get out of a prison. Without the dungeon master stacking the deck and making this prison or jail a breeze to escape from, it's so difficult to get out. And the players will struggle, and then they're going to contend with rolling random dice. It's a really horrible way to deal with things. I picked location. Joe, I believe you. Avenging Blowfish. I don't dislike location-based adventures. They're just easier to make. Yes, location-based adventures are easier to make. This is one of the reasons why I always try to steer you towards making a location-based adventure, because once I've done that, you can take that and then you can overlay your events if you want to have events taking place. And it's much more usable for a wider audience. So I'd rather talk about event-based ones. Now, the reason why I don't talk about event-based adventures is because in a live stream like this, it would be a disaster, because everybody will go in different directions, Blowfish. I've seen it happen in other people's live streams, and in the end, they just have to ignore everybody in the live stream, which is not what I want to do. Matt has got here, I was undecided, but I think location-based is better, as they can go in any direction. You can just change the place. Exactly, this is the reason why I say. And Michael said he voted for both. More choices. That's very, very true, Michael. This is why I always say don't get married to one way of doing things. All good here? Cool, cool, cool. All right, so before we get started on our adventure building, and we've got probably more than enough time since I won't be going to work, and after this I'm going to crash and sleep. I've been asked to talk very briefly about D&D Next, or Dungeons and Dragons Next. And so let me drink some water. Okay, Jordan, this is for you from Flute Sleuts. Dungeons and Dragons Next. This was the game that was play tested by a very large portion of the community way back before the original release of Dungeons and Dragons 5e. It was called D&D Next. It got released in 2014, but we were playing the game in beta and alpha before that. And I was part of the beta test and the alpha play test. And one of the things they promised, and this is the thing I really want to say, is one of the things that they promised is they promised us 3 versions of the game. 3 versions of the game. What does that mean? Well, we were going to get the basic game, then there was the standard game that most people would probably play, and then there was the advanced game that some people who liked complexity would play. Now you might be saying, well, Fred, we do have the basic game. It's a PDF. You can download it. And we have the standard game. That's the player's handbook. And the advanced game is all the variant rules in the player's handbook and the Dungeon Master Guide. But what you are failing to understand is that's not actually the true engine we were looking for and that was promised. What we got was in fact a differing scale with regard to the basic rules, and the standard game is actually the same core rules. The only difference is player options. Now, of course, you have reduced options. You've made it simpler for the basic game because there's less options to play with unless you go and use the standard game and get the player's handbook. And then when we go to the Dungeon Master Guide, well, now we're playing, there's a few more player options in the Dungeon Master Guide, and there's also all of the magic items, and then of course we have some variant rules that change the core rules. So what we essentially got was we got 2 rule systems. We got one core rule system, which is now the 5e basic game and the standard game, and then we got whatever you wanted to call whatever you've created as your advanced game at your table. That's the second one. So there's only 2 core rule systems. The one that we know of, and the one that you create. That's it. And then of course player advancement stuff and all of the character stuff. That's another animal in itself. And what Dungeons and Dragons needs right now is it needs 3 rule systems. I mean, at the core of the game. Not the player options. That's actually really unimportant. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but this is what we need. This is what we were promised. We need a basic game so simple that a 5-year-old could understand how to play it. That's how simple the core rules need to be. That doesn't dumb down Dungeons and Dragons. That just means that those people who have kids and are parents can play with their kids because they want to. And when you grow up a little bit older and you have kids of your own, you'll want to do the same. And then we have the standard game. Now the standard game will be very much the game that we play now. And then the advanced game will be all of the variant rules that we get out of the Dungeon Master Guide. It's the core rule system that needs to have that 3-step. If we have that 3-step, Dungeons and Dragons will survive and grow in a different way. And you need to have, I hate to say it, you need to have 3 products. You need to have the absolute basic core rule stuff, which is so simple. We take out a lot of the stuff we don't need, and then we have the standard rule core system. Nothing to forget about character options and stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. And then we have all of the variant rules that you can tack on to the standard game. That's what we really need in the game. And that's what we were promised, and we never got it. Will we get it this time round? I don't know. Okay, I've said it. Jordan, I have recorded it at my end. You will get it when I'm ready to send it over to you, but it probably won't be today. All right, so let's do some adventure building, shall we? Needing 5-year-old proof rules. uh, Yeah, so I'm not talking about Blowfish. I'm not talking about making the game system. The fact that it might be easier than other systems. In fact, in many cases, I don't believe it is. But I know a lot of people assume it's just the layout. Layout has improved over the years, and some of the things have been cleaned up. But even in 5e, there is some confusion in the rules, right? But anyway, let's get on with the task, which is to actually build an adventure. I'm going to be throwing questions at you very shortly. So please be ready because I will be asking a lot of questions. And we're almost ready. Oh, no, come on. Hit the button. Jump us over. I'll move that out of the way. I will get my book in here. And I'll get my phone up and running because I'm probably not going to see any of you otherwise. That should be working, hopefully. Pardon me. I'm sorry about that. I can't control that. It's too hard. Okay, we're all good. I think I've got everything laid out in front of me. Let us switch over to our workstation. Workstation, switch over. Bam! There we go. Yep, we're all ready to go. So today, it's all about creating an adventure. So you can see this is a very simple template structure. This is exactly what I just talked about before. And our intention is we're going to create first our adventure hook or adventure goal. We're not doing a recap because we're not playing with an existing campaign. So I'm going to read out a number of different adventure hooks. I'm actually using this book. Please don't freak out when you see that I'm using Mythic Odysseys of Theros. I know it's Magic the Gathering, but it's a very good Magic the Gathering book because it does the things you actually need it to do. Now, whether you like the setting is beside the point. It has the bones and the structures you need. Okay. Yes, get bombarded with... So here we go. Hashtag. I'm going to say hashtag create... Oh, not crate. Create an adventure hook. Now, I'm going to read out a lot of these, so you can just wait until you've heard them, or you can just throw stuff in there. Create an adventure hook. And yes, I know I'm going to get bombarded because there's a lot of people here. How the heck is that? We're right up to near Christmas, and I would have thought this place would be empty. So, starting off, I'll take off my glasses because I can't see very much right now with them on. Not when I'm reading this book. Okay, so I've selected a couple of different adventure hooks. The first one I've got here is a petty tyrant gladiator rules his populace through threats and intimidation. His favourite pastime is to force unwilling subjects to fight in a gladiator blood sport. So pretty cliche standard sort of stuff. There's actually nothing wrong with cliche as long as the players like it. Then it doesn't matter. You've got to like it too as well. So if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Next, a band of minotaurs directed by a champion of Mogus. Now, Mogus is one of the gods in Theros, but it could be any god. You know, you can have it be anybody you like under the sun. They forge a trail of destruction through the countryside. So there's basically a great huge band of minotaurs, maybe a minotaur army. We have a serial killer, an assassin, stalking the streets of the polis or the city and taking lives seemingly at random. So this is going to probably it's looking kind of like a mystery investigation. An oracle of Mogus marches into a town and predicts doom on the populace within a fortnight. And of course, like what that means is, you know, is it damage control? Who knows? Is it negotiation? Maybe we need to actually talk to that oracle. Next, priest of is it Oras and Helode are being murdered by unknown assailants and their temples desecrated. So, okay, so we could have that. An archmage is corrupted by Mogus and begins summoning demons. So we can have an archmage summoning demons into the savage population, or savaging the population. Not is the population savage? Well, we won't need to worry about the demons. They're probably going to be able to deal with that. Okay, and then we have a badly wounded caravan guard accuses the characters of murdering and banditry. So that's sort of more political in nature. A cabal of Mogus or cult fanatics have almost succeeded in finding a way to summon Mogus warhounds to their service. Sounds very bad to me. Don't you think? I think it's terrible. Moving on, there's another page of various quests and adventure goals. So I'm going to read out a few more, since I've already read out 8 different, and there are another 10 here. I'm not necessarily going to read out all of them. The one I want to sort of focus in on is the one that are dealing with a villain. Because if we go location, if we set down our villain, we've got it right. A minotaur captures and devours other creatures limb by limb as part of a bizarre ritual honouring Mogus, or some other god. A tribe of berserkers riding giant bats and hunting humanoids that travel through a canyon of some kind. We have an adult blue dragon enslaving the inhabitants of caves, intent on building an army to conquer the neighbouring sort of settlements. We have a manticore capturing warriors and forcing them into fighting to the death for their amusement. We could have a group of cyclops capturing travellers and keeping them as livestock in their caves, which basically means they're going to get eaten eventually. A lemure lures young nobles or anybody into a cult with promises of hedonism and wealth, and then of course they get sold. Kind of disappointing. Get sold into slavery. Apparently we can't use slavery in Dungeons and Dragons anymore. It's a very handy tool because we want the players to actually fight against it. A vicious gynosphinx captures groups of people, then forces one person to choose which of the others should be devoured first. Oh, that sounds like a bad news. The victims of a canyon's inhabitants raise as wraiths, determined to end all life in the area. So you're going to have to fight the undead. So there's a lot of different things we could potentially do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find my way through the chat here and pick out one of those that sort of sounds like that's the adventure goal we're going to use. That's the one we will focus on. I've already got a fairly good idea what I would like, but I do think that I want you to have some, and I'm not doing snails. Don't even start on snails again. Okay, we're not doing snails again. No mushrooms, no snails. Okay, here we go. So, nothing about mushrooms, please. That's right. Or snails. Exactly. Somebody already put it in there. So, Joe and Matt already figured out that I was going to say that. Good. You know me too well. A single large footprint appears in the middle of town overnight. So, Dynamancer, you've given us part of a hook that is just information, but it's not actually it's not enough to work with. If you're going to build a location, you really need something that's a bit stronger than that. You need to make it relatively clear that they need to do something. Okay, so as if it's a single large footprint, how do they follow the footprint? Where are they going to go? So it's not going to work. So you need to build on that, Dynamancer, a little bit more. Dynamancer is, by the way, a patron, if I haven't mentioned, and supports me on Patreon. Spirit Wolf. Serial killers. You like the idea of serial killers? Spirit Wolf does. What's the most Christmassy sounding one? Well, I suppose we could have the most Christmas. Well, it has to be the is it the Grinch, where all the presents in town are being stolen, and you have to go and find out where they've gone to. I mean, that's essentially, isn't it? The Grinch that stole Christmas. That's the Christmas. That's what you're talking about, Nacho. All the children in the city disappear overnight. Okay, so we're going to. So the idea is all the children in the city disappear overnight, and we have to go and search and find them. Okay. Everyone wakes up to mushrooms. No, I'm not even reading it now. Krampus is in town, taking the children. Krampus, Grimm's vids. You're going to have to explain a little bit more. I don't quite understand. Okay. Spirit, laugh out loud. Just called slavery involuntary. Employment. Yeah, whatever. Can you use slavery in D&D still? Homebrew. Well, we are homebrewing here. And I am of the opinion that we need to use the most vile parts of humanity because I actually view Dungeons and Dragons as an opportunity for people to role play against the things they don't have the balls to actually do in real life. A lot of us are not prepared to fight against real slavery. And slavery does still exist. But that's beside the point. Yes, we'll use it, Michael. I mean, we can all agree. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's the one. But, anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a selection of some of these ideas that people have put forward, and we'll write up an adventure hook, and then we're going to deal with a location. I've already, to a large extent, picked a location. The location could be an island. Now, if we're going to use an island, what we need to do is we need to establish why they would be at that island in the first place. So we need to have an adventure hook, Michael, that stipulates why we're at the island. Even the Isle of Dread, which is a very old adventure, there was a reason to go to the island. There was a letter. You followed the instructions on the letter. There was a rationale behind that. Okay, so we still have to have a reason. When I used the Isle of Dread, my players were going to the Isle of Dread to go and capture animals that they would take back to a zoo. And so they couldn't kill the animals, they had to capture them and then cart them back in crates and cages and so forth so that they could be then incorporated into the zoo. So that's a very simple goal, but ultimately, as time goes by, they get embroiled in other things there. A shipwreck. Nacho Man is wanting a shipwreck. Now, the reason I don't like the idea of doing a shipwreck, as I've told you before, Nacho Man, is you force them into a place. The good thing about location-based adventures is if you put it forward and they say, no, we're just not interested, then you just move on. But with a shipwreck, they have no choice, right? And their only other choice is to say, we don't want to play this adventure or just to leave your group. Whereas with a location, if they don't use that location, you just use a different location. Okay? So yeah, I'm not sold on the idea. A shipwreck on an island. Now you guys are going down like the worst possible. If we're going to do an island, it's not a shipwreck. We're not making it a shipwreck. No, that's actually not the only way to get into. What another reason? I mean, you're thinking about some of the older TV shows, and you're thinking, oh, we have to do it that way. But that's not true. So Sinbad the Sailor, he went to the Colossus Island. Why did he go there? Because he needed to get the eggshell from the rock, the giant bird, so it could be crushed up to be used to transform his bride, his fiancée, back to her normal form, because she had been shrunk down to like a little sardine. And so the only way to do that is the wizard said, we have to get the shell of the rock. So that's how they go to the island. That's how you get them there. Do you know what I mean? So our patron sends the players a letter to meet them at the island. Well, you could do that. Blowfish, there's a lot of different ways. So it sounds to me like you guys want an island. So we'll do an island. The characters are... Now, it's always good to ensure that whatever we do with them is a choice. The characters are requested, and not necessarily paid, but requested to travel to a distant island. Okay, now we're going to need to have an island name called. Okay, so that's what we're going to do there. But why are they going there? Yep, Christmas Island. Yes, we could call it Christmas Island if you wanted. Christmas, called Christmas. Okay. Now, Why are they going there? So they are requested to travel to a distant island called Christmas, or Christmas Island. But why are they going there? We're not shipwrecking them, people. We're not doing that. Players hate that. Why would you go there? That's the question. So while you're thinking about that, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to that part of it. So I want you to give me the player characters' names. Everyone has left the island in the last few months, have not returned. Why? Aha. So that's a good one. Not too bad, Joe. Pretty good. Luke suggested a festival. Now, I'm not going to put a festival because it's not a strong hook. One of the things you got to remember with your hook, you have to make sure it's a really strong hook. Like saving the world from destruction is a really strong hook. So every time you use that, it's a strong hook. Save the nation, another strong hook. Save your town or village, another strong hook. So those are strong hooks. And a festival's not a strong hook, unfortunately. Based on the island, because they have been told they're on the naughty list. Harvesting a particular plant or capture a particular animal native to the island. Procure a special alcohol brew there. Possibly a king from the kingdom is experiencing a bad virus outbreak, and the only remedy is something that he can be found on the island. Okay, so that's actually not too bad. That's pretty strong. So we're trying to save a king. So I'm going to put down a couple of possibilities. The local king is dying and needs a herb from Christmas Island to cure him. Okay, that is a strong hook. The next strong hook that somebody had put down, and I'm going to actually number these now. All right, let's go there, here. Next, I saw somebody had typed in something about nobody's returning. Joe, you did. Okay. So no one has returned from Christmas Island and no messages have been received. So an expedition expedition, is that right? Expedition is sent to find out what has happened to the settlers. So you will notice that this is very common. Like settlers, no one has returned from Christmas Island. No messages have been received. So an expedition is sent to find out what has happened to the settlers. Pretty simple. Now let's go down and see if we can find something else. Toy factory. Investigating a toy factory. Okay, players receive a cursed toy that was manufactured on the island. Players investigate to see how to remove the curse. Someone kidnapped a toy maker. Someone kidnapped. You really guys want a Christmas story, don't you? Players hired to solve. Myron, hello Myron, how are you? What do you got here? Someone kidnapped. Someone kidnapped toy maker. Okay. Right, so someone has kidnapped the master toy maker on Christmas Island. And the characters are asked to find them. Find them. Yep, that's what we want. Doesn't matter whether it's a he or a she. We're going to leave that nice and open. I think we got that. Tis the season. It is the season of something. A kingdom is having a virus that needs ingredients from the island in order to save all of its people. Yes, it could be that. Players hired to solve. Artifact toy controlling children. There's a lot of good ideas here. What do you mean? Kidnapped sounds like some weird Australian thing. I don't know how you came to that conclusion. I mean, are you from Australia? Does a lot of that sort of happen over there? I think you'll find that it happens everywhere. So let's not get focused. So we got 3 different things. I would put down a 4th one if I see one that sort of stands out, but right now I don't. Don't feel bad if I haven't put down your idea, people. I'm just trying to think about what is the really strong. I feel like although it's very Christmassy, the last one is probably the weakest out of all of them. Can we use your snowboarding snowman? The snowboarding snowman would not be on this island in the first place. He'd be in the mountains on a snowboard in the snow. And unless you're covering the island in snow. So I want you to give me hashtag. And you can always use Cyrus, the snowboarding yeti, in your own personal games. I have said this before. Okay, so hashtag pick a player character name. Now, you need to have the name, and I need to have the class, and we need to have the race or species. At the bare minimum, what else do we probably need? We might want to have, say, a floor. Don't write it in long form. Just keep it fairly simple. Floor, motivation. Now, the easiest way to answer this in the chat, people, is to use the actual players in your own group. Literally, that is the easiest way to deal with that. My middle-aged name is Myron. I only met 2 other people. Oh, okay, interesting. CC Carol, Candy Cane Carol, NPC name. You want an NPC name already? Okay, let's chuck in an NPC name. Candy Cane Carol. And I will put this over here. Undo that. Oh, it's so hot. That's that. We will separate this a little bit. Try to stick to the current question that I've posed to you. We're dealing with player characters, not NPCs. We'll do NPCs later. So I literally what... Now, the reason we make up a list of player characters, even though it's not really pertinent for this situation, because, you know, your list of characters is going to be different, we're still going to use them because we can use them as NPCs again. And you'll always find there's never a shortage of needing to have NPCs. So that's why I do that. Toys controlling children. I like the idea. Okay. So remember, player character name, class, race, floor, or motivation. That's what we're focusing on, people. Don't get... Okay, so we've got somebody. Thank you, Avenging Blowfish. He's actually answering the question. Good. Is it Hermie? Hermie the Misfit. misfit. You make it an elf. You're not giving them a class because obviously they're not a superhero. Okay, that's fine. Yes, you don't necessarily need to give them a class. That might be fitting, it might not. Hermie, nice one, Spirit Wolf. What is Spirit Wolf saying that it's so good? Artifact toy controlling children. And a cursed toy that is an artifact is controlling the children on the island, and the characters must destroy the toy. Okay. Alright. So how are we doing with our NPCs now? When they get to the island, it's a ghost town, Christmas, music is on, distancing, travel, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's not answering the question. Working on PC characters, people. Is it Chandelis? Thank you, Chandelis, for pointing out that's what we're supposed to be working on. Okay, good. Try not to get sidetracked. Kevin, the caroler? The bard. That didn't work out. How did I manage to do that? Kevin, the caroler. The bard. Let's undo this. See if we can get rid of that. Go there. Hopefully this is that problem. Okay, next one. Michael, too soon for NPCs. Let's stick with player characters. Like literally just pick a player character from your own game. Oh God, here we go. You guys already jumped to NPCs and we're still trying to get player characters. Player characters, people. Okay. Rudy. The reindeer. Farmer. Rudy the reindeer farmer. Okay, alright, so come on, back to player characters. Stay on target, people. Alright, so this is, I'm going to type it in again, and then I'm going to go and take a break and come back, because it's clear to me you guys are going off track. I know you want to jump to NPCs. I promise, we'll do NPCs straight after the player characters. So let's just concentrate on the player characters. Just pick a player character from your own table. You could even use your own character. Okay? Okay, player hashtag. Player characters. Please put that in again, and we'll see how we do. There's another NPC. God. Craig Lock. We can't have everybody being carolers, by the way. It's like if everybody's a caroler, it's going to get a bit odd. Okay. Okay. All right. So it Gru? Really, Spirit Wolf? Are we going Gru? That's neither Neanderthal barbarian. What is it? Barbarian Witch Queen. Okay, right. Let me jump. I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna take a quick break and let you work on the player characters so I can fill out that. Okay, and then I will come back and we'll continue because we still have quite a bit to do. So 5 minutes or less, I'll be back. Arnold will look after you. Oh, here we go. See if I can get back in here, eh? Arnie the Barbarian. Oh, good lord. Here we go again. Really, guys? should have guessed. Now, let's see. So we were dealing with player characters. Let's see what we got here. As soon as I have 5, I'm good to stop. Gru was a PC. Gru's a PC. Oh, okay. I didn't realise that. Okay, cut. Interesting. Did not expect that at all. Thank you, Spirit Wolf, for pointing that out. Shred the rogue. So shred. Is it? Oh, so it's steed. Rogue. So we don't have any other details other than that. Okay. James, thank you, James. Grimsvid, try to give me enough information because, I mean, a name is a good start, but you need a little bit more meat. This is why I've said name, race, class if they have a class, motivation or a flaw or something like that. Just some, yeah. If you're struggling to get all of that stuff, that's fine. Okay. James, what do you got here? You have given me quite a lot, which is great. Kawata is a human. Human what? Fighter. Cool. Okay, so we can probably move to NPCs now. Because I have at least 5, so hashtag. Hashtag it. Character names. We need to have some very specific characters. We need a villain. We need to know the name of the toy maker that has is involved if we're having a toy maker on the island. We need to have the name of the king if we use a king. So we need to have the name of the toy maker. We need to have the name of the villain. We need to have the name of the king. Those things are going to be really important. All right. So hashtag create an NPC. So what you really want to do is name, appearance, purpose, motivation. These are all things that you'll probably want to have. Okay, Michael, I can see. Okay, that's a player character, isn't it? Zoriko, Elf, Cleric. Okay, so I'll just go back while you guys are figuring all that stuff out. Hashtag PC, Mighty Mike, Barbarian, Half-Orc. Okay, Mighty Mike. Whoopsie, Mighty Mike. Barbarian. Oh, I really like playing half-orcs. I actually like playing a full orc more, but that's just me. My island has no NPCs. It lacks any signs of life, so I'll wait for the next one. Hashtag fair enough. Bacteria. There's bacteria on this. What sort of bacteria is there, or is it a virus? It's called the vid. Nacho, I'll see you later. You've probably already gone. Arnie the Barbarian. Oh, God. Arnie the Barbarian. You didn't name her? Fighter named Noel. Dungeons and Chronics. Okay, got it. I will get that down. Right, we're on to NPCs. And we need to be moving swifter than we are, so we'll see how we go. Thomas the Tinkerer. Okay. Thomas the Tinkerer. That's Dungeons and Chronics suggestion. Thomas the Tinkerer, he's a toy maker. We don't have any other information other than that, apparently. Okay, that's fine. Character, Druid, Herbalist, Wood Elf. Oh, okay, it's back to this. No more player characters, NPCs now. Now let's change the direction again. Char. Oh, God. Druid, Herbalist, Wood Elf. Right, how are we doing for NPCs? We don't seem to be... I'm going to put down a character which is a god, so I'll put Mogus the Minotaur. Whether you use it or not is up to you. God of... I think it's war, isn't it? NPCs, people, NPCs. God of war and destruction. Lucia the Night Hag, thank you. So we've got a villain now. Blowfish, thank you very much for that. The Night Hag. We don't have too much other information on that character. We don't have necessarily a quest giver, but I suppose Candy Cane Carol could be a quest giver. Rudy the Reindeer Farmer could be. Our Cragnock could be. Thomas the Tinkerer is one of the NPCs that we are trying to determine what happened to them. Shu the Lizard Man Female Ranger. Thank you, Spirit Wolf. Okay, let's put that down. So remember, we need a quest giver. And if you can write down quest giver, it's hashtag, we'll do this now. Hashtag quest giver. Let's do that. We want the person who gives out the quest. Krampus, the... Oh, God. We've got a demon involved here now. Very good. Shoe. Lizard. Lizard man what? Female. Ranger. Nicholas the Saint. Oh, good lord. Gleb. If I'm not talking that much, it's because I'm really struggling to keep it together. Okay, demon. So we've got a demon involved. Okay, that's fine. Nicholas the Saint. I think we have probably got at least a quest giver, some villains, and our toy maker. We've got a toy maker. That's not too bad. The Saint. Thomas, ex-cleric toy he makes have healing properties. Thomas? Oh, Thomas. Okay. He could, but we'll see, because it's not quite in line with the quest that we give. So we've got a few of our things already filled out. Okay, so we've got a couple of adventure hooks that we can use. We're going to get the characters to travel to this distant island called Christmas. These are potential adventure hooks to get them there. These are essentially, these single lines are the story. This is the nature of location based, okay? Everything else that you go over, that goes over the top, will be based off your group or what the players decide is going to happen. Okay, next, locations. There are some locations, so hashtag locations now, people. Hashtag create locations on Christmas Island. Do not create locations that are not on Christmas Island. We're not going all over the place. You need to keep it nice and funneled and in one place. Okay, otherwise it just doesn't work. Okay, so what do we got here? Krav, the crazy kobold hunting rock eggs. Okay, Spirit Wolf, you got my vote. I put them in. Krav, the crazy kobold. Oops. Kobold. Rook. Egg hunter. What a odd character. Oh, thank you. We've got a king. King Knoll. Heavy white. Okay, cool. We've got that. So what we'll do is... Good. Right, I'm going to pull it straight out of the chat. So just bear with me as I jump over here and pull it out. Thank you, Michael. I had forgotten to mention that we needed a king. We now have a king. Now, there we go. And we go here and here, and I think we've got it right. So heavy set. White beard. Bug beard. Bug belly. Motivation is to get the player characters to save him. Yes, that's fine. Good. That's what we want. Okay, now we have some locations. Let's put some locations in it. First location we need is Christmas Island. Oh, let's undo this. And number it. Caves of Chaos. Cave of Chaos. Nothing original, but that will do, Spirit Wolf. It will do. The Evergreen Forest. Forests. I'll just go forest. What else we got here? What's this? Hargor Mansfield the Great, Knight of the, what's that? Fairfield Realm. Okay, we're now on locations, Joe, but I'll put it in. Let's see if I can find it in the chat and just copy and paste it. Yeah, we'll just grab that. Stay on doing locations, people. Don't get sidetracked to other stuff, okay? Otherwise, it's going to make it really hard to get it done. This is, you know, when I was saying, yeah, when you're building your adventure, don't get sidetracked. Sometimes it's very easy to get sidetracked by silly things, and you wind up with nothing at the end. Okay. So this might be a quest giver, by the sounds of it, potentially. Toy Forge of Spells. I see where you're going with this, Blowfish. Toy Forge of Spells. Oops. Well, we have a forge at least, which is fun. Nothing wrong with a forge. Okay, Toy Factory. We need to have a name for the Toy Factory. I'll put down Toy Factory, but so the Toy Factory or Toy Mine. Okay, Toy Factory. We don't have a name, people. We need one. And you've got mine. Mine where they dig for raw. Okay, so we're going to just put Toy Mine. Don't have a name for it. Remember, locations work best when you give them cool names. So Christmas Island tells you a lot. Caves of Chaos tells you a lot. The Toy Forge of Spells tells you a lot. The Evergreen Forest tells you quite a bit. So that's what we want to try to do. Okay. The Groovy Grove. Okay. Groovy Grove. So what we're doing with the Groovy Grove is we're probably going to put in Groovy Grove, and it's going to be light, happy music is played by the Fae. And the Grove. Okay. So that's going to differentiate it from everything else, hopefully. It's good to be a king. It's good to be king. Yes, it is. The safe haven for adventurers. Okay, so it's a safe haven. Good. Thank you for telling Arch. So Arch Little, really good, because you've given me a name and you've told me what it's for. And that's actually really helpful because, remember, we've got a whole sentence we can write. So Pax on Earth, the safe haven I'm not going to say for adventurers, I'm just going to say the safe haven. Okay. What else have we got here? Wrong Way Waterfall. Okay, I get it. Wrong Way Waterfall. That's not bad, Spirit Wolf. That's actually quite intriguing, and definitely it sounds magical, doesn't it? Water travels upstream. Okay, right. Sits on the top of the cave connecting to the forge. Yeah, we could do that. Okay, so where were we? So you're starting to run out of ideas for locations, which is fine because we have quite a few. I'm going to put in a few more. Batman. We're going to put Bat Gallery. A cave full of clockwork bats. Why not? Next, a harpy nest. Let's put a harpy nest in here. We could put a rock nest in here, but that might be a bit too scary. That wouldn't stop me from doing it, though, by the way. Harpy nest. Harpy nests. I don't think we need to say very much more than that. Harpy nests tell you quite a lot. What else would we want to put in here? We'll put Bandit Cave, but I need a name for the bandits, so we'll put a question mark beside it. And what else? I'll put Shrine. To Mogus. Shrine to Mogus. So, we've got a few things going on here. Let's have a look and see what our chat's like. I feel like we're ready to start doing encounters, and which is a good thing because I'm getting hot and we've got quite a lot going on here already. Location, factory workers, living barracks. What's this here? The mountains of Fear Field, land of waterweeds. Ah, I see. I get it. Mountains of Fairfield. Land of waterweed. Okay. Yep. The Dancing Rock Valley. Rocks are sentient and dance or move in the valley. Toys for Tots Factory. Thank you, Michael. Okay, I think we've got pretty much where we need to. So we're going to hashtag encounters. Based on the locations we have, we're going to create encounters. Hashtag create encounters for the locations. The Drooling Dragon Tavern. Somebody remembered that we needed to have a starting point. Thank you for doing that, Michael. Okay, go. Let's get this down. Toys for Tots Factory. What else have we got here? The Drooling Dragon Tavern. Okay. Whoops. Here we go. I think we've got it. All right. Now this is a lot harder. Encounters and coming up with encounters for your locations. I'm going to call out your locations so you know what you're working with. The Dancing Dragon Dance Hall. I'll put that down in a second. So we have Christmas Island, which is the main island that they're going to be going to. On that island, we have the following. Caves of Chaos, the evergreen forest, the toy forge of spells, a toy factory with no name at this present time, a toy mine with no name, the Groovy Grove, where we have light, happy music being played by the Fae in the Grove, the Paxonetheria, Paxonearth, the safe haven, the Wrong Way waterfall, so water will travel upstream, the Bat Gallery, a cave full of clockwork bats, a harpy's nest. We have a bandit cave with nothing there. And I'm going to put here bandit or cultist cave. We don't have to use any of these things, but you can focus in on the things that you sort of interest you. We could have a shrine to Mogus or a god. The Mountains of Fairfield. This is the land of waterweeds. We have the Dancing Rock Valley. Rocks are sentient and dance or move in the valley. I'm assuming that's what you were after. Toys for Tots Factory. Drooling Dragon Tavern. So we've got a location there. And I'll put in Michael's last suggestion here, which is the Dancing Dragon Dance Hall. Now remember, with your encounters, we need to have the first starting encounter, where we start. That would be helpful. It's not absolutely vital, because to a large extent our adventure hooks, which are, I'll read them out to you. The local king is dying and needs a herb from Christmas Island to cure him. No one has returned from Christmas Island and no messages have been received, so an expedition is sent to find out what has happened to the settlers, and of course your player characters are a part of that expedition. Someone has kidnapped the master toy maker on Christmas Island, and the characters are asked to find him. A cursed toy that is an artifact is controlling the children on Christmas Island. So this assumes they're already there, Christmas Island, and the characters must destroy the toy. Or maybe they had to travel to the island. Sort of like a couple of different ways we can do this. But now we're dealing with encounters. So I'm going to start typing down some of the stuff you have here, people. Okay. You need to give me enough information so the encounter makes sense. Otherwise, I'll just have to leave it. I won't know what to do with it. Stone Giant Pilgrims going to Dancing Rock Valley. Okay. All right. The characters meet Stone Giants. Stone Giant Pilgrims. So, what am I doing? Pilgrims. Going to Dancing Rock Valley for a festival. I don't know. You tell me if that's what you were after. Festival. Okay. Maybe that's all we need for our encounter. Could be combat, could be just a discussion with them. Going to. I think that's it. Right. So, an abominable snowman, very large yeti with no teeth in the mountains of Fairfield. So James, but what does that mean? Like, what's the encounter? Are we dealing with a trap? Are we dealing with a social interaction? What do they have to do? As part of the encounter. So what you give, but people, you got to give me enough to build with. Okay, so otherwise it's just a couple of words. This is the one time when you're doing your adventure creation, you must actually focus down on giving yourself a bit more to work with. So you have to write words. Okay. So, abominable snowman. With no teeth. Okay, a toothless. Abominable snowman. What? In the mountains. Mountains of Fairfield. Question mark, because right now it's an unfinished idea. Water elemental trapped by curse at wrong way. Okay, so Spirit Wolf, good. That's a little bit more. So let's do Spirit Wolf's idea here. So we got a water elemental is trapped by a curse in the wrong way waterfall and pleads for help. Let's do that. Kobold clan seeking special dragon gems. Okay, alright. A kobold clan are seeking special dragon gems. Okay. Still a little bit unfinished, that one. Okay. Cave Troll may be the leader of Halfling Gang. Okay, so, alright. So we're going to go Cave Troll. Let's try that again. A Cave Troll who is the leader of a halfling gang. Ransom the toymaker from what? From a hidden cave complex. Which now begs the question, do we need a name for our, and we probably do need a name for our cave troll. Otherwise, it's a little bit hard to use that. Dwarf Baker seeks special spices that grows in the Chaos Caves. Okay, Spirit Wolf. There we go. Okay. A Dwarf Baker. Remember, try to focus in on the different quest goals that I talked about before. If you need me to repeat them, I will. Just let me know and I will repeat them. Try to focus in on the quest goals so that the encounters... It's fine to have side quests along the way, because like when you're playing in a sandbox or you're playing a location, being able to go and do side quests is a big factor. They're not all actually a waste of time because you allow you to collect information as a player, get more stuff and more equipment, you become stronger, so you will level up, but also to develop your character and potentially find a lead into the main adventure. Yep. Okay. Okay. A Dwarf Baker seeks a special spice that grows in the Caves of Chaos. The Caves of Chaos. Okay. I'm still not quite sure how we're dealing with that, but okay, we'll put that there. What else we got here? Maybe somewhere deep in the cave is where the herb can be found to save the king. Possibly. Or maybe it's somewhere else. Okay, so, Joe, as soon as they get to my island, after every hour, you must make a concentration check. The air has something in it that doesn't smell. Okay. They failed the check. They lose a point of intelligence. Oh, good lord. Okay, Michael has got our name for our cave troll, so we'll put our cave troll in. Now, I did say 6 encounters is probably good enough. One of the things that ultimately that we need to have is we need to have the encounter with whoever has stolen the toy maker or created or made this cursed toy available to anybody. Like there are some things that we need to have there. Crixius, cave troll, gang leader. Okay, I think that's got that. Good. So the idea for the king and saving him from the virus can be a side quest. Well, no. See, also, here's where I'm pointing. All 4 of those hooks are different potential adventures, so you don't have to run all of them. What we've done is because it's a location-based adventure, we can actually make it do more than one thing. So we can actually create multiple adventure hooks, and within the location, your main focus is different on Christmas Island because our focus is the location, which means, and what you can't often do with an event-based adventure, what you can do with a location is you can have multiple adventure hooks, and whichever adventure hook the players like the most is the one you use. Okay, and if you like it as well, you probably will because you'll either use these or you'll take it away. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So when we say a water encounter and the upside down waterfall, are we talking about a combat encounter? One of the first things you will find is there's almost no point writing down a list of combat encounters. Combat encounters are easy to deal with. They're actually, you can do them on the fly. It's everything else. Okay? Now, see, a few people are getting stuck now. So let's see if we can't fill in some gaps and deal with some of the stuff here. So dealing with our first adventure hook. Local king is dying, and we need a herb. All right. So where can we place the herb? Somebody said a cave. So we could make a skill challenge that's searching the caves of chaos, but it would be really dull to find a herb. Okay. Where else could we put our herb? We could put our herb near the shrine of Mogus or a god. It could go there. It could go in the mountains of Fairfield near the water weirds. So let's start off with, okay, so let's stick it where the nest of the harpies are. So negotiate with the harpies in their nesting area for the rare herb to cure the king. Okay, so I've written to So that makes life a lot easier for me. Okay, what do you got here? It's all right, Michael. Trust me, you hang here long enough, somebody's going to say something and it's going to pop out. And you're like, that could work. That's good. Evil Mage, Cloud Giant who lives on Cloud Stronghold, created a toy artifact to bring children for sacrifice. Okay, so that's very specific. Let us take that and we'll port it over here. So the first thing is you want to look at the adventure hook, okay, or your goal, and then look at your list of areas and locations and see which one would fit. It's like putting a little jigsaw puzzle together, people, okay? There is like a systematic process to doing it. An Evil Mage, Cloud Giant, who lives on a Cloud Stronghold, created the toy artifacts to bring children for a sacrifice. Sacrifice is in the middle of a ritual. Okay, that the characters must stop. There we go. So we've just got our idea. There's our encounter, and we'll go that. Okay, so what else we got here? This is a cool making an adventure like this. You love it, Michael? Well, we do this every 2 months. It rolls back around every 2 months, and we do it again. We've still got a bit of time. I will go for the whole 2 hours. So Spirit Wolf is actually doing very, very well. He's put forward some very good ideas. Some of you have actually put forward some very good ideas. It's just about nailing down what we're doing with it. Gem shaped into a statue. Okay. Hello, James. Interesting. Okay, so let's do this. A stone giant in the caves, I think it's the caves of chaos, is carving a statue giving a statue of a dragon and fitting rare gems. Okay, so that's our encounter, and that's fine. Let's go to James. James, I will pull your idea across and just deliberately and just dump it in wholesale there. And then we'll go from there, or wherever we go back. So we've got more than 6 ideas here. So you only need to have 6 that you like. We're doing more because we can, and we're in a group. So when you work in a group, it's easier to come up with ideas. So if you get stuck, you can work past that sort of thing. The Abominable Snowman asked the party to retrieve silver teeth from the toy maker and have Nicholas the Saint bless them so they work and wear properly. No, it's actually fine. It's actually fine. Okay, so we've got a James. You did well. So let's go back and have a look again. So I'll do another little example of our encounter. Let's look at our quests. We've already kind of placed our herb in the harpy nest, but we could place it anywhere. Next one. No one has returned from Christmas Island, and no messages have been received. So an expedition is sent to find out what happened to the settlers. So that is we're trying to find out what happened to the settlers. Let's have a look at our locations. Christmas Island, well, that's pretty obvious, but where are the settlers actually positioned? They're probably not going to be in the Caves of Chaos. The Evergreen Forest, maybe they have fled to the Evergreen Forest. The Toy Forge of Spells, are they there? Are they now slaves in the toy factory? So maybe that's what's going on, is they actually been made slaves in the toy factory. So that's potentially a place we could go with this. Maybe they're working the mines, the toy factory. Maybe they have been charmed by the Fae in the Groovy Grove. What else? Maybe the harpies have eaten them and all that's left is bones. Shrine to Mogus or God. So one of the first things you want to do if you're dealing with settlers and they've gone missing is you probably want to have some of them still alive. If all they find, I mean, I did suggest, did say it, but if all you do is you find their bones and that is it, players will hate it. Hate it. So leave them somebody to save. Shrine to Mogus or God. Mountains of Fairfield. That's the Waterweeds. Dancing Rocks. Okay, so out of all of this, what sounds the more interesting? Well, let's go with the settlers that established themselves on Christmas Island have been charmed by the Fae in the Groovy Grove. And the spell needs to be broken. There we go. So that's our encounter for that location. That ties into our adventure hook. Does it make sense? So Spirit Wolf has gone slightly darker. Okay. The settlers' souls. Settlers' spirits have been what? Have been trapped in toys found inside the toy factory. They have lost all their intelligence and have been manipulated to work in the mines under the Fairfield. Yep. Castle on top of the mountain has the only NPCs. Okay. Yep. All right. So I'm going to put that in a second, Joe. But let's go up to the next adventure hook we had created. Someone has kidnapped the master toy maker on Christmas Island. Okay. And the characters are asked to find him. So we have to put the toy maker somewhere on the island and we have to rescue him from something. Now, I'm going to suggest you have somebody mentioned a demon. Okay. We could use that demon down here. Where's the name of the demon? That's the locations. There is a demon called Krampus. Krampus is, yeah, so we could place, now where will we place it? I'll do this in a second. So where we could place it, we could use Krampus, we could use anybody, we could use the Night Hag, Lucia the Night Hag could be it. Mogus, the Minotaur god of war and destruction, could be it. It could be Crixus, the cave troll, or we could make it something else because we've kind of already got something with him. So just a few ideas in terms of where could we do that. Well, we probably don't want to use the hall, the tavern, or the necessarily the factory again, but we still have the shrine. We still have the we still have the evergreen forest. We could probably still use the caves of chaos. We could use the toy forge of spells. Like any of those would be like fine. Okay, so locations. I'm going to have to add in a cloud giant castle. Okay, so let's go back to encounters, and we are now over time. But I will finish this up, and then I will go and crash because I am definitely ready for that. And we have more than adequate. Like you've got plenty to work with now. Whoops, let's do this. Clear the format. Change it over to there. Okay. The settlers. On Christmas Island have lost all their intelligence, have been manipulated to work in the mines under Fairfield Mountains. The castle on top of the mountain has the only NPCs. So, okay. The castle on top of the mountain is the entry point. The characters need to infiltrate. Infiltrate. Did I get it right? Okay. Okay, that's that. The evil mage kidnapped the toy maker, and that now have the toy maker controlling the. Okay. Dungeons and Chronics. Okay, so I think what Spirit Wolf is trying to do is move us here. So I'm going to pull this out of there, and I'm going to dump it over here. Now, with a location-based adventure, you will find there are always elements of event-based stuff. There's always still an element, but it's not it's not necessarily connected in any specific way. You can break bits off. The toy maker is trapped. I think we've got it almost there. Is trapped in a dragon gem at the Cloud Giant Castle. I think that's what you're after. And needs to be rescued. And I think this is a good point where we can stop. I think this is where we can sort of like wrap it all up. I think we have more than enough. If we have a look at our last adventure hook that we had, a cursed toy that is an artifact is controlling the children in Christmas Island, and the characters must destroy the toy. So the good thing about this is it's just about finding the cursed toy. Find who has the cursed toy and destroy it. I'm going to put in a couple of suggestions as to who might have it. And I'm going to put in the Night Hag Lucia. We'll take that one. What did I do? I just deleted it. Okay, copy. Put that there. And paste. And then we'll go there. And so we're going to give you a couple of possibilities. What is an NPCs? We're going to use Krampus as well. And where you place them is going to be like completely up to you. And is there anybody else in terms of our NPCs that we could use? I mean, if you want to get really strange, you could go Mogus, the Minotaur god. Mogus. Let's go Mogus. Okay. I think that's got it mostly done. So that's one. So we need to name this adventure. For those of you who are here, let's name this adventure. Hashtag name the adventure. Because right now we've got the basic structure of our adventure. We have adventure hooks, we have our player characters list, which you're going to find easy to do because you're going to have players and they'll be able to tell you all this stuff. So it won't be nearly as hard as you might think. Oh, this is in the wrong place, isn't it? I'll put these in the NPCs area. Cut. And I'll put it over here. That's where it's supposed to belong. And we'll put that there. So what we're dealing with here is like a Christmas island and various things that are taking place here. Okay, did I get all of them? Yep, I think I did. Now, any of the player characters can also be used as NPCs. And in the case of this document, like that list of 10, those are your stand-ins. That's your background characters if you need them. Okay, and we got 15 different potential encounters, all linked to what we were trying to do before. Dungeons & Chronics, we're naming the adventure now. Naming the adventure, okay? Name the adventure. So what we're dealing with is the player characters are traveling to a distant island called Christmas Island. They could be helping a king who is dying by collecting a herb from Christmas Island to cure him. We might have the settlers that went to Christmas Island. There's no messages from them, and nobody has returned with the boat that dropped them off. So an expedition is sent to try and find out what happened to them. Someone has kidnapped the master toy maker on Christmas Island, and the characters are asked to find the toy maker. A cursed toy that is an artifact is controlling the children on Christmas Island, and the characters must destroy the toy. A Christmas story, James, pretty obvious. One time on Christmas. All right, so let's start putting in some names. These are our designations. Here we go. Right. A Christmas story. The Christmas Island Curse. Yep. And you, of course, will pick the name that you like. One time on Christmas Island. Okay, Christmas Island Curse. A cursed Christmas story. Spirit Wolf is suggesting Christmas Isle toy. Toy Story. Come on. And then Nightmare During Christmas. Okay. Watch, I'm writing down all the names. I have written down all the names, people. I haven't left any off. That's bold, underline. No, that's not the one I want. Underline. Okay. With all of these ideas be published somewhere? Yes, Michael. Everything we build, everything we make in these live streams goes onto Patreon. As I said, as little as $1 a month, you can pay $1 a month or a bit more. It's up to you. There's no tiers. Everything goes there. The thing you will find is it won't be a flashy document. It will be an open document because the intention is not for me to write a full-blown adventure, because I could not do that. It would not work. Okay, I'm not full-time and I don't make that much money doing this. But what I can do is I make an open document. You can take the document or whatever I've typed up, and you'll get this as an open document. You can go in and edit it and take out whatever you want and keep what you want. Okay, that's what we do with Patreon. That's where you'll find it. The Christmas that there never was. Christmas puzzle mystery. Okay, yep, we could put that in there as well. So, Michael, that's where everything goes. Once upon a time in Christmas. Okay. The never. Okay, the Christmas that almost never was. So there's a lot of material on my Patreon. We've done this a few times. This is the 5th one, and there are 4 others sitting there, plus a lot of other stuff as well. Once upon a time on Christmas. Okay, and then Island of the Missing. Okay. I think we've got it nailed down. I think we've got plenty of names here, and of course you will change anything you don't like anyway, because that's why I do this. This is not about me writing an adventure. This is about the community coming together, practicing doing the process, taking this and making it your own. So Michael, you need to use the search bar on Patreon, because there's hundreds of files, hundreds of documents up there now. So whatever you're looking for, make sure you type it in. So if it's adventure, write in adventure building or adventure, and everything will pop up. Yeah. Okay. I think that is it. I think we're going to just go back to my face and call it quits for today, which I think is a good idea because I am so tired. And yes, I should go and rest. Definitely should go and rest. We'll see how we go in terms of tomorrow. I don't know if I'll do the character build tomorrow. It's still scheduled, but I'll know more closer to the time. Okay. I think that's probably the best way to look at this. And okay. Okay, so there we go. Now remember, if you're wanting to use more event and plot stuff, you overlay that over a location for your group personally. That's the best way to deal with that. Okay, cool. I think that's got everything. I can do this. Can I do this? I don't know. Can I do this? Maybe. Can I find the link? I probably can find the link. There we go. Let's just toss that in there. You're welcome, James. I'm hoping that this makes you feel a bit more comfortable about trying to make your own adventures. I mean, literally, I've run adventures just from a document that looks like that. Now, it might take a bit of practice, but you have the basic building blocks. Okay, all right. So let's roll out before Fred falls over. So thank you to my patrons who support me on Patreon every week. Obviously, everything that we've made here today will go up onto Patreon near the end of the week. Just give me a couple of days. And thank you to everybody who took part in the live chat. It makes a big difference when people actually take part and help with the creation process, rather than me sitting here and just making everything and you watching, because that's not the point. The point is to help you get better at doing this rather than me do all of it. This is why you'll notice I didn't actually put that much into it. I'm just writing down what you've done. Thank you for watching the live streams, the replays, the edited videos, putting up with my shorts videos. I kind of have to do them. YouTube doesn't like me when I don't. No matter where you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.